So I have a question for you. What should belong to us, the people, when talking about pop culture? As film and now streaming services continue to define and reflect us, some media stands out among others. Even though movie studios are producing a lot, and I mean like a lot of movies at one time, for the most part, most media will appear with the aid of marketing, like when the movie comes out, and then slowly disappear in the public's eye. It takes a special kind of movie, or whatever media it is, to catch the public's heart in order to endure for a long period of time. Or in some cases, still endure despite a subpar marketing campaign. Treasure Planet, go watch it! I don't care if it's Christmas!
Okay, you don't have to yell.
Like we've talked about before, Disney is probably the best brand that continues to push some of its more popular IPs into the public consciousness, with like everything they do. I know we all collectively hate the live-action adaptations, but they do serve a purpose, to advertise the films to begin with. Enter Christmas movies. For the most part, this is a definitive part of American Christmas traditions. Like it or not.
And because of our traditions, every one of us knows who he is and what God expects him to do.
The English have the snowman, and the more depressing sequel, but that's really about it. Traditions are one of the biggest ways we preserve our culture. And with the nostalgic effect of Christmas in general, Christmas films have a little bit of an easier time getting imprinted in our traditions. Added to our use of media to tie with traditions, there's a lot of media that's considered classic, even when these films seem dated themselves for most modern audiences. They all get a pass. That being said, when pieces of media get energized into culture, they can take on an effect of culture mass ownership, regardless of who owns the copyright. That's generally why the public domain exists in the first place. Oh, for those who don't know about that.
Copyrights and you! Hello there, noble citizen. We are here to learn about United States copyright law and how it protects works of fiction. This part of the video might be a little boring, but we'll do our best by adding some fun memes for you fucking millennials. Now, most older works of fiction fall into what's called the public domain. So any company can use works in the public domain and reimagine it to a modern audience. Ever wonder why a gritty Alice in Wonderland can exist? Well, Alice in Wonderland is not owned by Disney. It's owned by you, the people. We did it. A third-party company can copyright their interpretation of a property in public domain, but not the domain itself. Disney, for instance, uses the population's general knowledge of the property to influence the public to watch their movie. Now back to your scheduled programming.
Now, what does this have to do with Rudolph? Well, the Santa Claus origin story, popularized by 'Twas a Night Before Christmas, no, not The Nightmare Before Christmas, is in public domain. That's where all the first 8 reindeer are from. Rudolph was actually invented by some dude named Robert May for Montgomery Ward in the late 1930s. Montgomery Ward was a department store and catalog brand back in the day. It was like online shopping without the online part. They still exist, technically. The brand needed their own character to make it easier to distribute their own coloring books when they gave them away each year for promotional purposes. And that's how you advertised back in the day.
Rudolph the reindeer had a nose, and if you ever saw it, you would even say nothing!
For those who are not following any of this, basically Rudolph was and has always existed for monetary purposes. That's a little bit disappointing, but what are you gonna do? Womp womp. Eventually, May's brother-in-law, Johnny Marks, like the edgy version of Johnny Cash, wrote a song for the character, which again became super popular and where most of the rights are held today. Luckily for May, Montgomery Ward made a total bro move and gave May the rights to the character without anything attached. That probably wasn't the best move for them, but still, total bro. The Rudolph song had similar success, making it the second most popular Christmas song ever produced, behind White Christmas. Sorry Australia, no White Christmas for you, just awkward Santa in a bathing suit. That's what I wanted to see, Santa in a bathing suit. Ew. Now before we get to the media portrayals of Rudolph, starting with some oddly animated 2D special in 1948, I want to propose a theory. So, after Mays died, the rights to the character and the song rights ended up going to some company called the Rudolph Company LP.
You can make your very own Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
There it is.
Very special.
I imagine benefiting May's surviving family or something. But the bigger point to this topic is that I don't think Mr. Rudolph Company is handling the rights of the character the way they should be. Remember, Rudolph gets paired with a lot of Christmas characters that are in the public domain, and when the general population doesn't understand copyright law, then having Rudolph absent seems like a disservice to what he stands for, the underdog faced with incredible hardship, but learns to overcome it. You might have noticed that something is off, for example, in Elf. Yes, the Will Ferrell version, which is also heavily influenced by the Rankin Bass style to boot, doesn't mention Rudolph at all. He's technically there if you freeze frame him. There he is, but he's not explicitly mentioned by name. Even though Elf is not directly about Rudolph, it's a little weird that he isn't verbally acknowledged. Or what about all of the other reindeer, where he's written out of the movie?
By the way, where's Rudolph?
There's no Rudolph, it's just one of those urban legends.
I mean, the existence of Rudolph would turn Olive into a bully, so I guess that makes sense. All of the other reindeer used to laugh and call him names, you know. But I'm still 99% sure that Olive was invented because of that lyric in the song. Side note, I really hate this art style. I really hate it.
What's wrong with your face? What is wrong with your face?
We could talk. Oh my God! What's wrong with your face?
Rudolph is also alluded to in the great masterpiece, this is sarcasm, 2000's The Grinch That Stole Christmas, as well as another freeze frame bonus, but still pretty copyright friendly in case some lawyer starts suing people around Christmas time. Thanks to the Rudolph Company. Although there are some exceptions, like Doctor Who of all things. Yay?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer had a very shiny nose. It proved to be a tactical disadvantage because it enabled me to punch him in the dark.
Thanks, British copyright laws. But you'll find that most Christmas media either doesn't even bother having him in the lineup, mention Rudolph in a way that doesn't specifically suggest he's that reindeer.
Run, run, Rudolph! Rudolph ain't too far behind.
Or doing whatever this is.
He was a smart reindeer that ruled.
Oh, no. I will not have that name said in my presence.
Are you talking about Rudolph?
German name, wasn't it?
I'll tell you what, it's a catchy song though, isn't it? A one, a two, a Rudolph.
Thanks, Hugh Grant Animal Guy. It seems like the Rudolph Company here makes most of their money by either licensing the character for people who are willing to pay for it, or, you know, merch. Merch! Look at all the merch!
What the hell is even that?
Now, you might get confused here and point out the copyright error in the original Rankin Bass special, which has made it pretty hard to market the original elements of the Rankin Bass cartoon, but I am distinctly not talking about that. This is a thing, and it's a cool little trivia thing, but this pertains to Rudolph the character, not greater aesthetic elements of the special and how general corporate America has used them to market their own products. In this situation, no one wins. Back to the video we're doing, I guess. This has always seemed a little weird to me, that someone somewhere could use a popular folklore figure to make money during Christmas, but hold on to the rights of the character so closely that they let anyone who wants to use them. Again, as long as you got the sweet, sweet dough. Compare this to other companies that have similar issues. Disney has gone from suing nursery schools for using their characters to being generally pretty lax with their fair use and content-appropriate mentions of their characters, even in adult material.
Hey, so much fun it should be illegal. Like copyright infringement.
Warner Brothers had a similar issue with Harry Potter, well, besides the issue we're currently having, where the company threatened to go after fan-made content for breach of copyright. Potter fans at the time were not happy and started boycotting any Warner Brothers-themed merchandise. But once Warner Brothers became more relaxed with non-profit use of their characters, their relationship with their fans improved. CBS has kind of missed the boat on this one. Oof.
They're stifling the creativity of fans who love Star Trek.
Don't be a Star Trek fan, it's hard. That being said, sometimes a group will be restrictive with the rights of their intellectual property, or IP, to ensure quality in the products that are being made. For example, musical group Coldplay is very protective about who gets to use some of their music. So that's why you never really hear Coldplay in film soundtracks, with some exceptions. Is the Rudolph Company protective of the character for this reason? Is just everything Rudolph has been used for good? No. The answer is no. When thinking about Rudolph media, most people think of the Rankin Bass special, which is a little bit problematic, but we'll get to that in a second. There are technically 6 movies that Rudolph is in, if we're counting the 10-minute original short in 1948, And boy, do they range from somewhat okay to really weird. This flexibility in licensing goes also to the crazy amount of merch that's available. Why would you need that?
I need it!
Gotta make the sweet, sweet money. We also got these Rudolph games for the Nintendo Switch and the Wii. You know, great reviews. Only top tier licensing here. But some of this is really bad. Don't believe me? Well, Merry Christmas, we're gonna learn about it. Let's start with the original story, because boy oh boy, there are some things in there that have not aged well. Starting with the general reaction to someone being different. Let it be said, most of the film has aged pretty well, especially the stop motion techniques in question. This movie was made almost 50 years ago, but some of the characterization still has its problems.
Why weren't you at elf practice?
Even though Rudolph's nose seems to be a trait he's born with, the adult reindeer first reaction is to hide it from the rest of the population, so that might have some unfortunate implications nowadays. Made even worse by the fact that Santa approves of this behavior.
Donner, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Telling a reindeer that he should be ashamed because of how his child is born is pretty messed up. The rest of the story deals with Rudolph making a group of other outcast friends, until they're needed by Santa after all. Better hope your mutation is useful in your society, or people will continue to treat you badly.
Reindeers are better than people. Sven, don't you think that's true?
Yeah, people will beat you and curse you and cheat you.
Yeah, Santa in this one is not a good character.
Dear God, we have to put him down!
The Rankin Bass brand is kind of its own extended universe, but off the bat, this movie presents a problem tying A Year Without a Santa Claus, the one with Heat Miser and Snow Miser, the Rudolph mythos, and Santa Claus is Coming to Town, which is the Rankin Bass origin story with Burgermeister Meisterburger. Fun to say. Meisterburger, Burgermeister, Meisterburger, burger. I want a burger. This was referenced in Frankenweenie in case you're curious.
Good morning, Mr. Burgermeister.
Santa's character shifts depending on the need for each story. In Coming to Town, we have the purest Santa that is ever known to man or beast. He goes from that guy to cut to this story to being racist. Specious here. It's like the other thing that made a beloved character racist. I hate it.
The Lion Guard has always been made of lions.
Beyond these problems, the original special plays out well. Rudolph is just the cutest thing ever, and I think most people can relate to feeling left out and being forced to find their way on their own. The special is followed, at least in the Rudolph mythology, by Rudolph's Shiny New Year, which I assume is supposed to be right after the events of the first Rudolph special. Shiny New Year is the New Year's after Christmas. I figured it out. So immediately there's a problem with this story. Do you see it? Do you see it yet? It's a visual problem. You see it? Rudolph himself here looks not like how the last movie ended. The merch definitely seems to favor medium-sized Rudolph, which isn't really the problem here. Look at all the Little Mermaid merch where Ariel is still a mermaid. It's like a lot, right? But she didn't start the bad sequel already a mermaid with no explanation, right? I mean, I guess we can say he ages backwards because Christmas magic and time travel and pulling Santa's sleigh or something. But this is a pretty obvious problem. Lucky for us, Santa isn't really in this one much though. You gotta take what you get, I guess. Shiny New Year is probably the most boring, but also nonsensical. It's harmless, but not very compelling, because it's a search for the object in the plot. We gotta get this baby MacGuffin back, or we'll be stuck in a Groundhog's Day time loop forever because Father Time needs a newborn child to sacrifice for the new year. I mean, that's how it works, right? I know the feeling. Thanks, 2020. So the physical baby New Year has disappeared, and only Rudolph, I guess, can find him. He ran or crawled away because, like Rudolph, he has a physical deformity that causes him to be treated differently. He's got, wait for it, big ears. I don't know about you, but that's a little bit too close to the Dumbo story to sound super original. At least this is better than the live-action Dumbo. Oof. Rudolph then time travels, but in reality, he has to search for Happy the New Year on all these islands with certain recognizable and marketable periods of time are isolated. We get Rudolph with dinosaurs, because that's a thing that happens. We can sell the dinosaurs. Yeah. Imagine if someone just named you Sir Year I'm Relevant. We also get not Ben Franklin, Sev, because apparently Ben Franklin is a copyright-protected historical character. He's not. Historical characters aren't protected by copyright. Rudolph gets a time posse as he continues to look for Happy. What is this, Time Squad? The time gain finally catches up on Baby New Year, who is still self-conscious about his huge ears. Rudolph tries to convince him to come back with them to Father Time, promising not to laugh at him, does anyway, and checks it up to the fact that Happy brings joy to people in his appearance. So it's okay to laugh. If it bothers Happy, then that's all the reason you need to stop. Justifying it with that kind of weak-ass excuse is, not good. This also is a film that hasn't aged well because of how the morals speak to the audience. Oh, in case you cared, the bad guy bird never dies because the baby ears are so hideous it keeps him laughing for all eternity. I don't remember all these movies having such backwards morals. I hate it. I hate everything. Rudolph and Frosty's Christmas in July is essentially the explanation to mini-chlorians, but Rudolph style.
Midi-chlorians. Those powerful little beings.
This is probably the worst of all the Rudolph films objectively because of how complicated and intricate the plot needs to get in order for the story to work. I'm all here for lore that fits in with the story, but having the lore confuse the main plot line of the story is, not helpful. So Winterbolt the bad guy originally ruled the North Pole, and for a bunch of complicated reasons, he has to get rid of Rudolph so he can regain his magic and rule the North Pole again. Something. The movie also involves a traveling circus, all of Frosty and his family from the sequels. We're not gonna go into the Frosty sequels right now, because I just can't. I can't. Rudolph and Frosty have to go away from the North Pole, and a failing circus seems like the way to do it. There's also elements like Rudolph needing to be tricked by Scratcher the reindeer to do an evil, and lose his powers and cause the snowman to melt. Winterbolt also wants Frosty's magic hat to create an army of snowmen, and it just keeps going.
This is the
Plot.
that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend.
Is it just me, or do the later specials either turn out really good or really bad? They even got Mickey Rooney, look at that! After Rudolph learns the truth from the talking whale that was in Shiny New Year, continuity, this movie has a lot of it. He helps stop Wonderbolt and everything is okay, and they can save the circus. At least this time only the plot is insulting and not the characters themselves. Womp womp. Well, as much of a mess this story is, it also concludes its own agenda while explaining Rudolph's nose as a gift, but in the original story, he's bullied for it by other cast members. Getting some Frozen 2 vibes here, where the character gets a magic power that is problematic, but then it turns out to be a gift the whole time. Twist! Still, the film tries to definitely define a sense of continuity by having nods to not only the other specials featuring these characters, but keeping their character designs consistent enough that it was obviously done on purpose. I can see people having a soft spot for this film if they like Rankin Bass and seeing all this continuity makes them happy, but this one in particular probably could have benefited from another script draft. I'll skip now to the outlier of all these films, the only film that is distinctly not Rankin Bass, and the most obvious case of the Rudolph Company letting whoever the hell wants to give over their money to the rights to the character. Now for the most part, even the original 10-minute short featuring Rudolph, it's safe to say that Rudolph as a character, now as in the 90s, is best recognized in the Rankin Bass form. As much as this video is complaining about the merch, unless a piece of merchandise exists to have random but distinct reindeer with a red nose, please don't sue us Rudolph Company, then Rankin Bass Rudolph is probably the version of the character you see the most. So you know what would be a great marketing idea that totally won't isolate and confuse kids at all? Selling the song and character rights to make a feature film with these things as the only not original branding materials in the film. What could possibly go wrong? A lot of things can go wrong. This is essentially buying the rights to a random Disney character and one song, changing their appearance slightly and writing a whole new story around those elements. This film isn't so bad in its own right. I mean, hell, it did fix the racist Santa problem and focus on the original aspect of Rudolph being a problem with the reindeer itself. Santa even gets a whole song about how everyone should be included.
Everybody's a somebody. Everyone has a place in my extended family.
It's great, guys. But because it isolates its own character from its well-known and loved brand, it comes across as cheap and disgenuine. I guess Whoopi Goldberg and Eric Idle are in it for some reason. You know, Eric Idle from Quest for Camelot.
Enchanté, mademoiselle.
Message for you, sir.
Okay. Many of the plot problems also come from the outside that influence Rudolph himself. Like Rudolph's parents are not assholes to him.
But I suppose Rudolph can count his blessings that he's not Donner's son in this version, and doesn't have to have dirt shoved over his nose to hide his shame.
Thanks, movie. And besides some of the aspects pacing-wise, if you can get past the weird concept, it's okay, I guess. It's fine. Rudolph runs away, and then he gets saved and saved Christmas. I get it, the original special has some elements that are not dating well, but it's also established in popular culture, and most people adore it, and negating that kind of insults your audience a little bit. I don't know, whoever's idea this was stupid. I just go for a new Rankin Bass movie that makes Santa apologize for his actions in some way. There you go, it's fixed. We fixed it. The last film on the list, Rudolph and the Island of Misfit Toys, I'll start off the bat by saying it's not held up well visually. This is some top tier meme material right here, but it's probably the best out of this whole mess of films. I guess besides the original, I guess someone learned their lesson. Good times entertainment. Good times. Not only do we get a whole cast of IP-friendly reappearances, you can tell the crew behind the film really cared about the original story, down to trying to make the voices of the characters as close as possible.
Aren't you gonna laugh at my nose, too?
You can give me a normal nose?
Why, Annie Doe would consider herself lucky to be with you.
You sure are popular, Rudolph.
Right now, I'm just an elf.
Looks like rough weather ahead.
The name's Yukon Cornelius.
Well, what are we waiting for? Wahoo!
Not only that, but the story itself, while a little simplistic, is very cute and heartwarming, and not to give the plot away, but low-key, it's theming around toys and the importance of toys. And I kind of like it better than the end of Toy Story 3. Don't at me in the comments, I swear. And yes, most people know that they retconned the original ending to go back and get the Island of Misfit toys. You don't have to mention the comments, we know, and that was a good move. Good job, guys. Clap, clap. And if you're wondering, the bird that can't fly was probably dropped into the ocean where you can swim wherever you needed to go. It's fine. If you're gonna watch any Rudolph sequel, then watch this one. This is the one that holds up the best. It's adorable. I love it. I love it! So to tie this all together, why Rudolph should be so accessible is because the story is the ultimate underdog story, and something people have been really attached to since his debut. Having his appearance be limited by a company that is inflexible with its copyright seems kind of archaic, and going against Rudolph and Christmas generally stands for. Even though Santa is problematic in the Rankin Bass version, the underlying story offers true heart and is really sick with the popular culture, and something kids all over the world have come to empathize with. It's like being Jewish around Christmas time. Oh, Maze was actually Jewish? That explains a lot. Although this problem will technically be resolved once Rudolph enters the public domain like all the other Christmas characters, I feel like the takeaway and the change for the time being is having a loose use of popular and well-loved characters, even if they happen to, again, be under copyright. Bigger companies have learned all the time that this use of copyrighted material by passionate fans should be celebrated, within reason. No creepy Barney fanfictions, please. And from a business perspective, help reintroduce and act as a form of free marketing to these products. Look at this recent TikTok Ratatouille musical thing.
Your favorite Disney movie about Remy the Rat Chef, better known as Ratatouille, is now a musical.
A Disney of Christmas past would have shut this down, but it's now being allowed to thrive not only for free advertisement, but because it's genuinely the right thing to do.
And it all started with this TikTok.
Remy the Ratatouille, the rat of all my dreams.
This is important as lots of copyrighted characters are used in everything from art to cultural expression, and it's a shame that we can't even mention Rudolph in anything that's not cleared simply because an out-of-touch copyright holder wants to make a quick buck. The holiday classic It's a Wonderful Life actually benefited from having a lack of copyright, and even though it failed in its first theatrical run, the re-airing and distribution of it during Christmas time actually cemented it in popular culture, and now we have It's a Wonderful Life, like one of the best movies ever. It's a good movie. Go see it after Treasure Planet.
You know, I got it. I got the concept.
As we move forward with our modern day celebration of Christmas, I feel has been definitively redefined by not only a Christian holiday, but a holiday that influences the good of man, which is no accident. For those who don't know, the modern concept of Christmas and the Christmas spirit was influenced heavily by A Christmas Carol, which brought back the popularity of the holiday when it was first published, and much of that worldly interpretation of Christmas is now induced to the tone of that film.
I've always thought of Christmas as a kind, charitable time, the only time when men open their shut-up hearts and think of all people as fellow travelers to the grave and not some other race of creatures bound on other journeys.
Rudolph seems to be a beacon and part of that spirit. It's almost like he was written by someone who wasn't even Christian in the first place, right? But the use and the misuse of the Rudolph copyright is mostly to make money. I feel do a disservice to the story and what the character and the holiday have come to represent. And Rudolph should be enjoyed on a wider scale to really encompass that spirit. As a character and as a time man can come together.
Be kind to each other.
Happy holidays! Don't worry, Rudolph Company, you can still make money on the merch. That's fine, but like, it might be a good thing to think about. And for the other people, think about how copyright affects your favorite characters. Merry Christmas. Please leave a comment in the video and like and comment and share and stuff. I'm KP. And that's all, folks, except it's not time for the ending gag.
There. Now no one can see it.
Brilliant! You reject your own nose because it represents the glitter of commercialism. Why didn't I think of that?
People used to laugh at Corby Apes.
What'd you do?
I kicked him in the face. Glitz and bled like a faucet.
Dancer, Prancer.
What are the others called? I could never really remember.
Bambi. And you, and not
You bag of fleas.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please remember to leave a comment and share this with a friend or 2 or 5. Click here to subscribe, we really appreciate it. Click here to check out the main collaborator for this video. Click here to check out our video playlist for this video, where you might find similar videos that hopefully you like and enjoy. There's also a credits scroll here, where you can check out all the other awesome contributors. All their info is in the description. That's all I gotta say, KP away!